We all know the story. The Chashmonaim liberated Jerusalem and the Holy Temple from the Syrian Greeks. When they came into the Beis HaMikdash, the Holy Temple, they found only one jug of oil, and there was only enough oil to burn for one night. They kindled the menorah, and it burned for 8 nights. Hence, we celebrate 8 nights and days of Chanukah with kindling the menorah each evening. Most of us understand the significance of that miracle to be attributed to heaven. There was enough oil to burn for one night, and it lasted for 8 nights. Amazing, incredible. But there's also a second miracle, and in a way a deeper miracle, and this is the human miracle. You see, the Chashmonaim could have easily said to themselves, we only have oil to last for one night. What's the point? We'll kindle the menorah, the oil will be depleted, and then for the next 7 days, we're not lighting the menorah. It's disrespectful. Why don't we wait until we get sufficient oil, and then we'll begin lighting the menorah with much gusto and joy in an uninterrupted fashion? The miracle was they did not think this way. You have oil? Light the menorah. Where did they acquire this attitude? Perhaps from the genesis of all of Jewish history. Little Moses was born in Egypt. The Egyptians were then casting every Jewish male newborn into the Nile Delta. Moses' mother takes little baby Moses. He's all but 3 months old. She puts him in a basket and places him in the Nile River, hoping for the best. Pharaoh's daughter Batya comes to bathe in the most exquisite, beautiful Nile. And she sees this little basket, and the Torah says, "Vatishlach es hamasa vatikacheyu." She fetches the basket, she stretches out her arm, and she takes the basket. But the Talmud and Saita and the Medrash say something fascinating, and that is, her arm was not long enough to reach that basket. She stretched out her arm. Nishtar v'vayada amos harbe. Her arm extended. Maybe 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 feet until it reached the basket. And she retrieved the basket, opened it up, rescued little Moses from death, and raised him as her own child in the palace of Pharaoh. And I want to ask you a question. What's the point of this midrash? The Torah doesn't indicate such a miracle. The Torah says she stretched out her arm and she took the basket. Why the need to say that her arm stretched out and extended beyond nature? Besides, if you went to the beach, to the river, and you saw a basket, and you stretched out your hand, and suddenly your hand started to extend 50 feet, what would you do? I know what I would do. I would run for my life and call 911. Was Batya not scared? The great master Reb Simcha Binim of Pshischa once gave a marvelous interpretation. He said the sages weren't trying to create a story that didn't happen, God forbid. They were actually conveying the true essence of the story. Batya was Pharaoh's daughter. Imagine the daughter of Stalin or the daughter of Hitler rescuing a Jewish child in the middle of the Second World War and raising him in the Bavarian home of Hitler. It doesn't make sense. There are certain things you can do that make sense. They are within human reach. But there are certain things that you just don't do. This is just something that is beyond your reach. That's what Batya should have been thinking. But she didn't. There's a child here, and he's going to die. And I need to do whatever I can to save him. So she stretches out her arm, and you know what happens? God allows that arm to extend beyond her reach. There's an invisible arm that connects to your limited arm. And the impossible happened. Moses was saved. He liberated his people from slavery. He molded them into a nation, and here we are today, 3,330 years later, because of the courage, the resilience, the faith, and the fortitude of that heroine, the Egyptian princess, the daughter of Pharaoh, who did not fail to extend her hand by saying, it will never happen anyway. Isn't this true about so many of our lives? I look at goals and tasks. They're formidable, they're amazing, but I say, what's the point of extending my arm? What's the point of beginning a journey I will never complete? What's the point of putting in oil into a candelabra so that there is a flame of light that burns for one night? It's going to be depleted. It's going to be extinguished. It's going to fail. Let me just sit on my couch and do nothing. Maybe one day the great hero will come and light up the world. Judaism is an exercise in an opposite way of thinking. You have a little oil, you light your candelabra and you cast your light, and God's invisible arm will attach itself to your visible arm, and the world will be transformed. Happy Chanukah.